My name is Gerard McCarty, and I'm one voice in emergency management. I entered the field more by accident than anything deliberate. I need to be honest about that. It's not something I studied for or something I envisioned. My choice at the time was actually to be a practicing attorney. And that was my goal at the time. And what I was doing was doing an internship in the Mayor's Office of Operations. And I thought this would be an easy way to get 3 credits, but at the same time learn something different about city government that I'd never seen before. Police work gives you a perspective of city government from the police perspective. And it becomes very shrouded and it becomes very closed-minded. And maybe closed-minded is not a good phrase, but there's blinders on to what else city government does. And I thought being in the Mayor's Office of Operations, I'd get a better perspective of what city government really does. And I did. And while I was there, though, there was a movement afoot in Mayor Giuliani's administration to move emergency management from the police to the mayor's office. And because emergency management was now an emerging element of government that had never really come to its full breadth that it is today, only because we were faced with a number of disasters throughout the country. Andrew was one of them, Hugo was another one, the earthquakes in California, and a number of large-scale, noteworthy incidents were taking place throughout the United States that made emergency management a very prominent element of government. And I think Rudolph Giuliani recognized that. But he also understood that it had to be independent of an agency and had to be responsive to the executive branch of government. Because not only was it something that, using the FEMA model, is that FEMA reported directly to the president. And he saw that as being an effective tool for the mayor's office. So he wouldn't see the results of a disaster by second-hand, third-generation reporting within the police department or fire department or wherever it was located. You get it firsthand. He would actually be able to speak to the person who was at the scene and get a good sense of what was going on. And it was my responsibility to move it from the police department to the mayor's office. Never heard about emergency management before. Never had any idea what it was about. And I could only find one textbook that dealt with it at all. And it was maybe 5 or 6 years old when I got it. But there was no internet either. So a great deal of what I learned about emergency management, the concepts of emergency management, were from a book. And from that book, I had to create a concept that would create a white paper that made the movement from the police department to the mayor's office. Needless to say, it wasn't an easy lift. Not because there was resistance in the police department, is that there was still a misunderstanding of exactly what emergency management does. And it varied from people who would be in charge of everything to another layer of government that we didn't need. And somehow or another I had to work those issues out, that it wouldn't be in charge of everything. It wouldn't be in charge of anything. And it wouldn't be another layer of government. It would be a constant resource for the mayor to rely on any type of emergency, whether it be a major emergency or it be a water main break on somebody's block. Defining an emergency, you have to say, how does it impact people? Well, if it only impacts 2 people, it's a disaster. If it impacts 1,000 people, it's still a disaster. So the definition doesn't hold true in an urban area what a disaster constitutes. It's anything that really impacts people's lives. Rudolph Giuliani, for all that you can say about him, understood that people had the right to believe that government would be responsible to disasters in their lives, irrespective of what the size of it was. And he saw the merits of emergency management in dealing with that. Not that they would manage the situation, but they would coordinate city agencies to respond to that and have city agencies work together on that. And that's the whole concept behind emergency management in New York City.